YouTube, how you doing? Duck Films here, and in today's video, we're talking about the biggest winners coming out of the recent patch in Deadlock. Now, if you're not familiar with this content or new to the channel, basically I talk about some of the best characters that came out of the recent patch in Deadlock, the one that really shifted what the urn is all about. And if you're wondering why should I be listening to this random duck on the internet, well, I'm a former analyst and coach from Marvel Rivals, and I do a lot of Deadlock analysis and theory crafting, so if you like that type of stuff, definitely check out the channel. Make sure to like the video if you like it, and of course, subscribe if you're new. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. So what is this video about? Basically, I'm just talking about some of the characters that benefited the most from this overall patch and give my own opinions and ideas. And of course, this is a discussion-based video, so if you like what you see or you're just curious about anything else, definitely comment down below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Or if you feel like I'm missing somebody out, you can also mention that as well, because all opinions are welcome. So the first winner of this new recent patch has to be, without a doubt, Billy. Now, Billy actually comes out of these changes overall stronger, especially for players who understand how to abuse uptime, survivability, and extended brawls. But here's why these buffs help him so much. So the health per boon buff is massive, going from plus 48 HP to plus 59 HP per boon adds up incredibly fast over the course of the match. Billy already thrives at frontlining, all-in bruiser that wants to stay in people's faces for long periods of time. This essentially means is that he scales tankier naturally while farming, he becomes harder to burst before getting value, he can survive long enough to chain abilities together, and diving the backline becomes much safer. Billy's biggest strength is forcing extended chaos. More HP directly amplifies that identity. Now, the bullet damage nerf barely changes what makes Billy strong, because the bullet damage per boon nerf looks scary on paper, but Billy isn't winning fights because of raw M1 scaling alone. Most Billy players succeed through ability pressure, gap closing, disruption, close range burst combos, and survivability during extended fights. So losing a small amount of gun scaling hurts far less than survivability buffs help. And if you think about this in practice or, in theory, you lose a little poke in sustained DPS, but gain way more consistency staying alive long enough to finish kills. That trade is usually worth it for melee or frontline brawlers. Then analyzing the Rising Ram changes are secretly huge. At first glance, the base cooldown was nerfed from 30 seconds to 32 seconds, which looks bad, but the talent upgrades completely offset it. Before, it was 30 seconds base with a 20 seconds with tier 3. Now it's 32 seconds base to 19 seconds with tier 3. So once upgraded, Billy actually gets more uptime, more engage opportunities, more escape, more chase potential. And because Rising Ram is Billy's core mobility or engage tool, having it available more often dramatically increases pressure throughout mid and late game. Following that, the tier 2 duration buff matters more than most people will think. From a 0.3 second to a 0.4 duration sounds tiny, but on mobility or disruption abilities, fractions of a second are extremely huge. The extra duration means easier target sticking, more reliable engages, better repositioning, more time forcing space, and harder for enemies to kite him. Billy struggles most against spacing and disengaging. Extra uptime on Rising Ram directly attacks that weakness. Following that, a lot of items like weakening headshots and a lot of the other melee items got a ton of changes. If you want to see the patch notes, make sure to click the link in the description. But overall, these changes push Billy further into being a durable snowballing frontliner, a sustained fight monster, a better mid-late game engager, and a stronger boon scaler. The nerf mostly hits his raw gun scaling, but the buffs improve the parts of his kit that actually define higher level Billy gameplay. Besides that, especially with the urn changes now that you're fighting mid a lot more and it's quite in the open, having that ultimate ready to go, the chain gang, is a really nice touch that allows you to teamfight extremely well. All that being said, this is probably one of the reasons why, in my eyes, he's such a big winner from this recent patch. Moving on, the second biggest winner has to be, without a doubt, Rem. So Rem got a ton of changes. The first one is that he got faster healing, which makes Rem way more reliable. First, one of the biggest buffs is actually lingering healing duration reduced from 3 to 2 seconds. Total healing remains the same. That means the healing happens a lot faster. Now, this is huge in Deadlock because fights are extremely burst heavy. Old Rem sometimes had a problem where teammates died before the full healing finished, or the sustain came too slowly during dives. Now, allies stabilize faster, burst damage is countered more effectively, and aggressive teammates can continue fighting sooner. So this dramatically increases Rem's real combat impact. Also, tag along is a lot smoother now. Travel speed, 50% faster. Eject recovery is almost instant. Movement abilities no longer get locked. Eject trajectory smoother. Veil interaction works. Debuff resistance no longer messes up the launch. and before you would just be clunky, delayed, or awkward during team fights. Now Rem can reposition rapidly, rotate targets faster, follow dives, and stay active in chaotic fights. This massively raises the hero's skill ceiling. Following that, secondary ally healing is huge in teamfights because this is one of the biggest and most underrated buffs. Now, burst healing also affects secondary allies you jump to. That means Rem gains significantly better multi-target sustain, team fight value, and grouped fight impact. Previously, Rem was a lot more single target focused. Now he provides much stronger AoE stabilization during clustered fights and coordinated pushes. In grouped engagements, this can completely swing fights. Following that, both his Tier 2 and Tier 3 scaling buffs make Rem scale a lot harder. In Tier 2, the barrier or item effectiveness went from 25% to 35%. This dramatically improves shields, aura effects, defensive utility, and sustained item interactions, and it increases its value of almost every support-oriented purchase. Following that, the Tier 3 upgrade went from 0.03 to 0.05, and the regen went from 0.66 to 1. This is an enormous late game sustained increase. Rem now becomes much stronger at saving low health allies, reversing fights, enabling frontline tanks, and sustaining extended engagements. The missing health scaling especially helps against burst heavy compositions. Also, the nap time buffs makes Rem harder to punish. Giving a plus 30% damage reduction baseline is honestly huge. Before, Rem could sometimes get punished too hard while vulnerable or repositioning. Now he's naturally tankier during critical moments, which means fewer random deaths, safer engages, safer supporting positioning, and more confidence playing aggressively. This makes the hero substantially more forgiving without lowering his skill ceiling. Rem benefits massively from aura interaction. Now Rem benefits properly from support auras, defensive items, healing fields, sustain effects, and ally utility while attached. This makes coordinated comps much stronger and improves his scaling in organized play tremendously. Then following that, the Pillow Toss buff improves pressure in the wave control. Before, Pillow Toss charges faster and it hits harder at Tier 3. This means more poke damage, better lane pressure, stronger finishing damage, and more consistent ranged threat. A second change reduction is a lot bigger than it sounds because it improves its ability cycling throughout the entire match. Basically, a overall kind of picture or idea that's trying to be presented is that new Rem heals faster, rotates faster, survives longer, scales harder, supports multiple allies better, and functions much more smoothly in high-speed fights. So overall, a super good buff that this character received that really needed. Now, the next winners, both 3 and 4, I kind of want to combine it into one. So the next ones have to be Kelvin and Dynamo. Now, when you actually look at the patch notes for Kelvin and Dynamo, this recent patch, they didn't really receive too much. For instance, if you go to Kelvin, he actually got a ton of nerfs. And for Dynamo, he also got the same treatment. He got some nerfs, nothing crazy. The issue that comes from this, though, is how the gameplay is now. You're fighting in the mid. You're fighting for urn in the middle of the map. So characters that have giant AoE ultimate abilities or, AoE abilities in general benefit greatly from this. So a character like Kelvin, he can dome the urn. Even if you put the urn into the capture point, as long as you're in the AoE or the King of the Hill like setting, you still get it even with the dome around you. So it's a very good idea to pick that character if you're trying to win matches. The second thing, same thing as Kelvin, Dynamo. You just ult on top of the urn and you pretty much deny anyone from countering and trying to steal it. This is why these two characters are excelling right now, because they have the pressure and ability to control the urn and dictate the pace of the match. Despite being or not the best picks in theory, if you're able to just use your ultimates on top of the urn, they benefit greatly because they allow that for the rest of your team to continuously snowball and just win the match outright. So it doesn't matter if the enemy team has the best M1s in the game currently, as long as you have the right tools at your disposal, it can easily turn any losing game into a win. Now, honestly, I think the last biggest winner that I kind of want to include in this video for the 5th slot has to be Sinclair. Now, Sinclair received 0 changes this recent patch, but because people are going to be picking characters like Kelvin, like Dynamo, like Lash, like Seven, like these characters that do a ton of AoE damage or have the AoE abilities, Sinclair benefits from this because he has the options to pick and use different ultimates. Because, said characters are going to be higher in priority, Sinclair is going to be getting a lot more value. But it's another coin flip that if they don't have those characters, you're going to be losing value. But because, like I said, there's going to be an increase of those AoE heroes getting picked, Sinclair gets a lot more value because, you have those options. And a big thing is you have the big AoE bunny effect. If you bunny a ton of people on top of the urn, it's probably going to be coming out into a favored urn into your own side. So these are probably the 5 biggest winners that I'm taking away from this recent patch. If you have your own winners, let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully this video has helped you in any way, shape, or form, or gave you some insight. Of course, there's a ton of other notable characters that I didn't mention in this video. I just wanted to hone in and focus on these 5. But yeah, anyways, hope you have a good day. Make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.